This is KGW News at noon.
We start our local coverage this afternoon with breaking news in southeast Portland. A suspect is in custody after police responded to a possible shooting inside a home in the Lentz neighborhood. We're going to show you a map here that gives us a bigger picture look at where that home is, near the intersection of Southeast 100th and Yukon Street. We know this all started around 10 o'clock this morning. What we don't know yet is if anyone's hurt. As police attempted to negotiate with the suspect inside that home, neighbors were told to shelter in place. The Portland Police Special Emergency Reaction Team and Crisis Negotiation Team, both on the scene. We'll continue to update this story for you as we get more details.
But I believe this bill is bold and balanced. It's comprehensive. It will provide the spark to jumpstart the building of new housing that we need to see across the state.
That is Oregon Governor Tina Kotek speaking in Salem today about her new housing bill that she says is the next step in addressing the state's housing crisis. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Drew Carney. Senate Bill 1537 is one of our top local stories this hour. Earlier this morning, Governor Kotek made her case for the bill, which aims to build more affordable housing all across the state. During that testimony, the governor said she traveled to every county in the state last year, and wherever she went, people told her they wanted to live and work in their community, but had no affordable place to live. Governor Kotek talked about the importance of helping local governments get the resources they need to make that affordable housing happen.
Our communities are like, we need help. We need those model codes that the housing office can provide that's in this bill. We need technical assistance. We need infrastructure. They know what they need. We, as a state, must be a partner in making sure that housing happens.
KGW's Tim Gordon is working to break down the entirety of today's hearing. He'll tell us more about the details and the endorsements behind this housing bill later this afternoon during the news at 4. Meanwhile, the debate over Oregon Measure 110 continues, with efforts underway to roll back the law that voters approved 4 years ago, essentially legalizing small amounts of hard drugs. Last night, state lawmakers listened to public testimony, hearing from people both for and against this idea of changing the law. KGW's Catherine Cook brings us more from Salem.
At Oregon's state capitol, it was standing room only in hearing room A.
This may be the worst impact of Measure 110.
Most here ready to criticize or praise the impacts of Measure 110. Under the measure, possession of small amounts of drugs became a Class E violation, basically a $100 ticket that could be waived if the violator contacts a substance use helpline. Some say the law should stay as is.
These bills would reverse course on Oregonians' bold, compassionate decision to provide health care to people struggling with addiction, rather than responding with arrest and incarceration.
On Wednesday, the Joint Committee on Addiction and Community Safety Response heard public testimony on 3 bills designed to change Measure 110. There's House Bill 4036 and Senate Bill 1555. Both Republican-led efforts. They would bump possession of a controlled substance up to a Class A misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in prison, a $6,250 fine, or both. There's also House Bill 4002, a Democratic-led effort. It would make possession of a controlled substance a Class C misdemeanor, a crime punishable by up to 30 days in jail, a $1,250 fine, or both.
The culture Measure 110 has created regarding drug use is live and let live. But for Keaton and many others, Measure 110 meant live and die.
Michelle Stroh's son Keaton died of a fentanyl overdose in 2020. Since then, she's been working to combat the opioid crisis and believes Measure 110 only made things worse.
We are showing the next generation of children that illicit drugs are normal and accepted, and they should never be seen that way, ever.
How did we get here?
Nathan Vasquez is a deputy district attorney in Multnomah County. He believes the efforts behind Measure 110 need to evolve.
To be clear, I'm a firm believer in treatment, and absolutely we need to have that, but we need to have accountability as well. And there is absolutely a place for the criminal justice system and public safety to be involved in this and to connect people to treatment.
Others in favor of Measure 110 say different approaches are helping combat street-level drug use.
We're seeing really good results.
Tara Hurst is executive director for Health Justice Recovery Alliance. She opposes all 3 bills and believes at its core, Measure 110 has the potential to do much more with the right resources.
How many more years do you think it'll take before it works the way you see it working?
I think it depends on if you have true leadership wanting to invest long-term into services. This is about services. This is about access to care.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Up next, the Joint Committee will discuss the public testimony on all three of these bills designed to change Measure 110, and at that point, they'll determine any possible amendments. That discussion, by the way, is set for their next meeting coming up at the start of next week. All right, quick break from our local headlines now to talk about the weather. But first, Rod Hill, we're going to take this live look outside. The Dalles looking beautiful on this Thursday afternoon. A sign of better things to come this afternoon. What do you say, Rod?
Well, look how blue the Columbia is. That's from the Oregon Veterans Home camera out there in Wasco County. We have sun breaks. It really depends on where you are up and down the valley. Clearly, it's beautiful out there in the East Gorge. Radar, notice with me, showers mostly Coast Range, mountains, mostly Cascades, mountains. That's a sign of a weak flow where actually the moisture coming in needs that added lift from the land, from the mountains, what they call orographic lifting, to pop shower development. And the showers, not entirely, but most of them fade when they come off the mountains into the flats of the valley. Shower chance continues this afternoon, but clearly there's going to be lots of dry time. And we'll open up some sun breaks in most areas. Here's Cannon Beach live, 45 degrees. They're getting a little bit of sun. Stoller Family Vineyards Estate was really sunny 15 minutes ago. Now the cumulus clouds have kind of filled in a little bit. And the wet spot, remember in the Cascades, we saw those showers. There's some darker, ominous skies. This is 1,500 feet at the Mount Hood Oregon Resort up in Welch. The snow level today for mostly flurries is 2,500 feet. Portland is a 48, so we don't have any wind. Temperatures will get back up to 50 in the coming hours, kind of where we have been. Forecast for the weekend does include an increasing rain chance tomorrow. That's coming up after the break.